The paddock might have quite short boundaries, is what I'm hearing.
No, it's all been levelled.
It's all levelled and good. That's good. Questions. I have one to start with, if I may, to you, George, in regard to, you talk about partnerships. Obviously the partnerships are broader than just the councils, though. I mean, that's been one of the challenges. Can you comment on that? I mean, industry across all the spheres needs to engage.
Yeah, but I suppose one of the things that we do need to do is demonstrate to the industry that whether it be the people promoting Havelock North or Wairau or Central Hawke's Bay, that we're all on the same plan, and so that they can see how their efforts and their promotion will actually align with the region. And what we've, as you know, what we have now is, I think the example would be the number of different websites that we've got, something like 14 promoting the Bay. And in simple terms, we want one, and everybody can agree with that. And I think that's probably going to be the first thing that we achieve quite quickly. But until, I think we need to present that unified platform that actually has some good stretch goals in it in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And that way we're much more able to engage the industry as well. Like, we're growing it, but we'd like to get that a lot bigger.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask you about some of the events that you've highlighted there, and specifically the Big Easy. Registrations are up, but registrations are up from outside the area as well as local, is that right?
Yeah, they were. And I guess we haven't reported the detail in this report because it sort of falls on the next one, but we think it's about 30% of out-of-towners. So we've got actual Auckland registrations, Wellington. Actually, there were at least 100 people from Auckland who came just to do the event in this year.
Of the events that you highlighted, Big Easy, Hawke, the Hockey Festival, Course of the Year.
Yep.
None of those actually took place in Napier, except the finish of the Big Easy was in Napier. Would that be right?
Well, Horse of the Year obviously doesn't.
Hawke was across.
Hawke's across the region.
Yeah. But okay, so we've got Art Deco as well. But of those events, would anyone stay in Napier? Visitors for that?
Definitely.
Would they?
Yeah.
No,
everyone from the hockey tournament stayed in Napier.
Mr. Chairman,
He said it then.
Yeah. Could I just get some answers from Hawke's Bay Tourism?
Yeah, actually the hockey's a good example where the teams were looking for specific infrastructure and requirements, and Napier had those requirements, not the properties in Hastings. So that was a case where most of the teams, I think all of the teams actually stayed in the Napier area. But I mean, these events are all building. I mean, the Big Easy, actually, it's quite interesting. While it started in Havelock, the money spent, and we're tracking, we've got a visitor survey that's run off the back of the registrations, and the spend is all once you come into Napier. So the economic benefit of the Big Easy for Napier is exceptionally high. A, from accommodation, and B, from spend just in restaurants and cafes, etc., along that route.
Could I also make a comment about these events? They've only been going for, we're only in our second year. You look at an event like WOW, that's just had its 20th anniversary. And so they took the long-term view, and we have to as well. This is not about, let's put on an event and see what happens. Half of the world probably doesn't know about the Big Easy because we don't have a fortune to promote it, so we have to do it by word of mouth. Word of mouth takes at least 3 years to have any impact at all. So, you know, the fact that we're up to 30% outside of the region is good. We'd love that to be 70, and that should be what we're aiming for. But it does take time, and you have to be consistent because people will take 3 years before they even have started to hear from somebody that it was worth having, and then by the time they plan it, it'll be another 2. So it's that you have to be in it for the long game, really. So and these have that potential.
Well, it's not a very good example. It got so good that Wellington stole it.
Well, Wellington thinks pretty good.
We don't want Wellington's stealing the Big Easy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Belford. Do that. Councillor Belford.
Good morning, George. I'd like to go back to your coordination meeting. I'd be curious to know how many people were at that meeting. But more importantly, could we expect to see at some point a unified sense of the spend that group makes in its totality against tourism?
Ultimately, I think we have to assess that because we need to know how much we need to achieve what we're wanting to achieve. But at that meeting, there's about 17 people in total. So it's our staff, it's our board, it's also the people representing Napier Hastings, as I said, and their own promotional and marketing groups. But ultimately, we need to determine how much are we as a region in total spending on promoting the region, and how well are we spending that.
Councillor Hewitt.
Good morning, both of you, and thank you for a wonderful presentation as always. Annie, I hear people in business circles rating you really, really hugely, so I've enjoyed your presentation. I have a comment and then a question. Just in terms of Hawke and the Big Easy, I tend to take in information events just by osmosis, and to me they don't tell me what you're doing, whereas every time I hear the word the Bluff Oyster Festival, I want to go there. So just in terms of a lay person, it takes a little bit of time. So I hear you're building it up, but sometimes saying what it is pretty good too. My question is actually for Councillor Pipe. We have a councillor representative on Hawke's Bay Tourism, so I think it's quite important that he may have the opportunity to add anything that he might like to what we've heard this morning.
Is that okay? Yeah. Look, there's not a lot that I want to add because it's really basically a report on the last 3 months, but just to comment on what happened yesterday, and I came away from that meeting, that strategic planning meeting, feeling very, very positive about the future of tourism. So I think hopefully we're on the right track, and hopefully we'll get the right reaction from those bodies who are around the table when they go back to their people and actually share the vision that we hopefully have.
Councillor Dick.
Good morning. Thanks very much again. Gisborne, Eastland, do you have a relationship with them? Are they part of your central group? Yeah. Okay. I think there's some quite strong synergies between Hawke's Bay and East Coast. But just one statistic here seems a bit funny. You're reporting for Gisborne 326,000 visitors year end, but a grand total spend of $15,000, or is it 15
million? No, they're completely different. So that's their arrivals into Gisborne.
Yeah.
And that's spend from Gisborne people into Hawke's Bay. So they're two separate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just on the connection between the East Coast and that, the Pacific Coast Highway is the connector that binds that together in terms of a marketing sector.
Okay. And what that goes up to Gisborne and then over to...
Goes all the way around.
Right around the coast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically Coromandel through to us.
I see.
Okay. No further questions, Councillor Barker?
I've just got, thank you for the presentation, it's very good. As usual, I expect a very high standard presentation from you. I've got one question, and that's about the numbers you got from Waikato. That really surprised me.
We are looking into it.
Well, I would, because that's why we do statistics, is that statistics quite often throw up numbers which we don't know intuitively, and we learn a lot. And the big ozone hole was ignored for 10 years because the stats were too wild and no one believed them. So we just, I was always subject. I would be surprised if we had so many people from Waikato. We've always concentrated on Wellington and Auckland for a visit, but it might be that we have a really potent little market there we've never done anything with, and with a bit of attention might do a lot better. So I'd like you to come back to us in the next meeting and tell us what's happening in Waikato.
I will do that.
We've got a good rugby team too.
Not as good as Wellington's, apart from last week. Councillor Pike.
Just in response, there was discussion about that particular figure. There was a suggestion Horse of the Year may have influenced that. We don't know. I mean, that particular area is a very, very strong horse area, so we don't know. but certainly there needs to be more investigation. It did surprise us as well. So, but take your point, Councillor Bucket.
Okay, no further questions? Anything further from...
No. So I look forward to sharing with you all where we get to in this exercise, but I'm feeling more confident about the opportunity that we've got this time than we have in the past.
So you happy to move the recommendation? We'll accept the report. We have a seconder, and Councillor Pipe wish to speak.
I'd just like to thank you for another very positive report. It's always nice to get something positive and bright in the middle of this rather cold weather. Certainly I was here over Easter and the place was buzzing. So much so that we locals actually missed out on getting our food because the restaurants were so packed out you couldn't get in it. But, you know, who's to complain when we see it doing so well? Big Easy was a fantastic event. And rather than cap it, maybe we can expand it. So, don't know, there's always answers out there. But well done, and obviously the focus on these events is proving its worth, so well done.
Thank you. Seconder, wish to speak? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Central Hawke's Bay, for joining us on our... You're going to be in our office, so it's really bad.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, George. Now, I think we have... Are they following straight on?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay. So we have the Mr. Scotland, Mr. Cowie here by the sounds of things. Have they got a presentation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Using anecdotes, I think, would be something to like, not the general population. Put some more wood on the fire, bro.